It's the
Yeah,
weirdest.
you're good.
Now we
Okay, this
should
should
all
be good.
see it.
Okay. All right. Should we get started?
Yep.
Okay. Um, whoops.
So we'll start all over again and welcome everybody
Yeah,
again.
welcome everybody. Um, my name is Rebecca Larson, and this is Lisa Erbs, and we're the co-leaders of Indivisible Twin Cities. And I want to welcome all of you to this all-member meeting this morning. We're really happy to see you all here. Um, Helping to facilitate this meeting is Sue Scott, who's going to be monitoring the chat. Um, Jen O'Brien from our comms team is also on the call, and not sure who else from our steering committee, but we will be introducing the steering committee in a little bit. What we want to say though up front is that we're leaving a lot of time for Q&A. And what we'd like you to do, this is a webinar format for the Zoom, so we'd like you to use the Q&A function. You should see it along the bottom of your screen if you're um, on a desktop or a laptop, and add your question there. And then if you go into that Q&A and see that a question has been submitted and you agree that you like that question and would have maybe asked the same thing, you can vote, you can upvote that question. So do that, and then that will help us prioritize which questions to get to first. And feel free to ask anything you'd like. We're going to share some content in the next half hour or so, and then hopefully have plenty of time for questions.
And we really do want this to be more about the questions and answers than we do anything else because we really want to hear from you all. And I, for one, am really curious to hear like what you're interested in or what your questions are, what you're worried about, all of that kind of stuff. So please put stuff in the Q&A for us to talk about.
Yes. Okay. Um, so Indivisible Twin Cities, I think most of you know a little bit about our background. We've been around in this current iteration, which is Indivisible Twin Cities, since early in 2024 when we merged with when Indivisible St. Paul, Edina Indivisible, and Roseville all merged to become Indivisible Twin Cities. A lot has changed, if you've noticed, since since maybe January of 2024. We've had an election. We've got all the things happening that we'll talk about in our country right now. And so, as part of that, we changed our mission a little bit. And so, what we are all about really is part of building a peaceful and nonviolent movement of concerned and committed citizens who work to dismantle authoritarianism and support a functioning and healthy democracy, and a nation and communities where housing is affordable, healthcare is a guaranteed right, elections are fair, justice is upheld, and people are free. Um, so that's a lot, but what we're really focused on right now is especially the first part of that statement. And I'll just state the obvious, where we're fighting against the rising authoritarianism in the country so that we can have a functioning and healthy democracy.
Okay.
Okay, over to Lisa.
So I just want to give you a really, really quick sort of overview of how Indivisible Twin Cities is organized because when we all merged together, we had to kind of figure we like being a collaborative team of people, and we worked pretty well in that environment. But after Trump was elected for a second time, we went through an enormous amount of growth that I guess was unexpected. I'm not sure. It shocked us on a daily basis. We were like, oh my gosh, there's thousands of people reaching out to us right now. What do we do? And so one of the things we did is we tried to add a little bit more structure to the way that we were organized to hopefully help us make decisions and prioritize the things that were in front of us that we felt like we needed to be working on. So Rebecca and I act as co-leaders, co-chairs of Indivisible Twin Cities, but we work within a steering committee Our main group of what we call our kind of our executive group. Again, this is a lot of structure that most of us are not comfortable with, but we do it anyway because we feel like we have to. Anyway, so our treasurer is Bridget Axelson. Our secretary is Jordan Coydoyle. Jen O'Brien, who's on the call with us today, is in charge of communications and messaging. And then we have other members on our steering committee, Patrice Tetta, Sue Scott, who's also helping us today, and Tim Wegner. Uh, so that's sort of that part of the core group. And so from that group, we is where most of our decisions get made and priorities developed and set up. So we also, over this last year or so, especially with a very big influx of new volunteers, we set up what we're calling our working teams, so that we could sort of disperse this work out amongst other people and other volunteers. And so we have developed action teams which are focused on individual issues, so like immigration or education or healthcare. So we have these teams. They're pretty autonomous and work on their own priorities, but then a lot of what they do gets filtered up to the steering committee, and we give them input on what we think probably should be prioritized or not prioritized. It really is helpful though, because none of us can be completely up to speed on every single thing that's getting thrown at us on a daily basis, especially in the area of immigration. So this is a way for us to have people who are focused on these issues, and then they can raise things up as they see fit. We have calls to action teams where we put together our action hours twice a month. Usually, sometimes that schedule gets a little bit moved around, but for the most part, we try to do those twice a month. Our communications and messaging team that handles all of our social media, puts out a newsletter, does all external engagement and media relations, and also just general messaging and look and feel of things. We have our community outreach is basically working to develop relationships with other organizations that are in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, other Indivisible groups, but people who are not part of Indivisible but are groups that are on the ground doing really, really important work. Again, we never want to be in a position where we're trying to reinvent the wheel. And if there's other groups out there that are already working on something and they have a skill set there and an area of expertise, we want to partner with those people and take their lead versus us trying to figure things out on our own. We also have an outreach and engagement team. They're responsible for onboarding new members, new volunteers, welcoming people into our group, and helping to process new members through Facebook. However, people are coming to us. This group is the ones who kind of have that first contact with whoever may be looking to get more involved with Indivisible Twin Cities. And then we have a technology and tools team that's a group of people or a couple of people who basically take care of all the back end infrastructure that we have, so that we can keep things running smoothly, like on webinars and Zoom calls like this.
Yeah, and I would just add on that last one, we're fortunate to be part of the Indivisible movement, the national movement, because they provide resources to local chapters like ours that enable us to have technology like Mobilize, which allows us to post our events and yeah. So it's great to be part of that movement for very practical reasons too.
So I wanted to mention a couple of teams that we've been talking about adding to the group that we just haven't been able to, for various reasons, whether it was prioritization or just not finding the right people for this. But we are still looking for people to help us with event planning. And this is any kind of event. It could be an educational, informational session. It could be a rally or a protest. It could be a lot of different things. But we really do need people who have some experience in this area who can sort of just take the bull by the horns and organize in-person and Zoom events for us on a regular basis. And also, we have been talking for a while about a rapid response team, which would be a team that could literally pull something together in a 24 to 48-hour period of time, where we feel like we really need to get people out in the streets or on the phones or wherever it may be at the Capitol or whatever to respond to something really, really quickly. That is something we do try to do from time to time, but it needs focus. So if you're interested in either of those types of things, we're going to tell you how to let us know that in a little while.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to, especially since January, and we're going to scroll through some photos that show. I'll talk through these, and we'll just scroll through the photos a little bit. So one of the things you might have noticed is that we've been part of organizing the large events that have been held since the inauguration. Events like Hands Off, which was at the Capitol, No Kings at the Capitol, Good Trouble Lives On, which was done in recognition of John Lewis. That was in downtown Minneapolis. And we're going to talk a lot later about No Kings version 2.0, which is coming up on October 18th. As Lisa said, we formed action teams to focus on particular issues. We formed an onboarding team. We're developing strong coalitions with other organizations and are actively building more of those connections and strengthening those relationships. One event that we were part of organizing, which was really a lot of fun and super successful, was our T-shirt project at the state fair. It was called That's Not Fair, where we had volunteers standing in front of the GOP booth talking about the big bad bill and the harms that it's going to cause citizens across the people across the state of Minnesota. And while we've been doing all kinds of events like pop-up rallies and state fair projects, we've continued to do the things that we've done for a long time, such as action hours, postcard parties. We have a Books Plus More club where we have discussions about podcasts or books or articles. And then we've held education sessions on a variety of topics, such as how to be an ally to the immigrant community and what is legislative advocacy and how does that work? Or like on the slide right on the screen right now, what's at stake in the Minneapolis elections? Another thing that we've done is we established a Defend America's Essentials series, which has been a series of smaller rallies that have been held in front of kind of symbolic locations, such as I think the first one was Defend Social Security, where we just created a space for people to stand in front of a building like the Social Security office in Minneapolis and use their voice to support these important essential services that our government provides, such as national parks or Social Security or the post office. And we also started a Substack newsletter, and that's something that we've just gotten up and running fairly recently. So if you are a Substack user, make sure you look us up and subscribe to our newsletter. And we're trying to build content there as time goes on as well. Okay,
Is that the end of that one?
I think that's the end.
Oh, no.
Oh,
there's more.
Yeah, and just recently we should do a shout out to our education action team who is working really on a campaign to support the university, try and ensure that funding remains, that the research work that the university does is preserved. And they recently did both a Bridge Brigade and a game day rally and canvassing at the university on the day of the Rutgers game with the U. So these are just some key messages that I think it's fair to say we try to keep messages like these in the back of our mind always to help keep us going, because sometimes this work can be hard. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, if your voice held no power, they wouldn't try to silence you. So a lot of what we talk about within our group is just showing up and using our voices in whatever way. And there are a lot of ways to do that. And then the second one by Robert Reich, who many of us follow, and he's a voice of wisdom these days, is all about becoming so discouraged that we don't have the will to keep fighting back. And the greatest enemy of positive social change is cynicism about what can be changed. So there are plenty of examples. Most recently, the situation with Jimmy Kimmel Show, where people pushing back and fighting back makes a difference. And so we're of the mind that we have to keep doing that. And that's the work that we're in right now. And then the last quote is stop acting like this is normal. And that's a really important message too, because I think there may be the instinct among some people to think that if we just maybe hunker down and wait, that it will just pass over. And we don't, I don't want to bet on that personally. So none of this is normal. And it's not that we're going to go back to some day that used to exist in the past, but we shouldn't accept what is happening in our country right now. It's so not normal. Okay. All right. With that,
I'm going to just jump in real quick here,
okay.
just in case anybody joined us a little bit late. We are going to take kind of the last half of this and answer your questions. So please be sure to put them in the Q&A part of the screen at the bottom of your screen rather than in the chat. And then Sue's going to be monitoring that for us. And if you vote up certain questions, they'll rise to the top and those will be the prioritized questions.
Yeah.
So make sure if you've got something you want to ask or something you want to say, just go ahead and put it in there for us.
Okay, and I'm going to go back here for a second. We have a poll question that we want to ask, and I can't remember, Sue, if I can do that myself or if you can launch the poll with that first question. Are you able to do that?
I am, I think. Hang on one sec.
Okay, so we're just curious how everybody's feeling about this moment that we're in.
Here we go.
Okay. So this is about the state of our country. And so you get to answer one or all of these. Pick your choice. And it's just kind of a curiosity question.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Kind of what we thought.
So interesting. I guess it's not a surprise, huh?
Okay. So it looks like everybody's answered. It says 100% answered. Oh, but it keeps going up. Let's keep going here for a second.
Oh, 72%.
Oh, I see. I was looking down here.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Well, I think it's unanimous. Not unanimous, but practically. Yeah, many of you, and we agree, we are in an existential crisis, and we are also afraid for our future.
And some of you think it's all of the above.
Yeah. And so maybe in the end we will be fine. But
I don't share that optimism.
all right.
Sorry.
Okay. So now we know where we all stand on this one, and we can stop sharing that, Sue. Yeah.
Oh, you share the results so everybody else can see them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, who does that?
I think she does.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not sure how this works.
We haven't done this before.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah, share results.
Okay, I did that.
Okay. Now you can stop sharing those results.
There we go.
We good?
Yep.
Great, thanks.
Wait. I still see it on my screen. Do you?
Well, yeah, I'm sitting right here. Looking at the same screen.
I think you could just click that window to close it, Rebecca.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
I can't get it to go down though.
Ooh. We have too many little things on our screen.
Yeah, sorry, people. Okay, there we go.
Oh,
Okay,
now.
here we are. So you should see a screen that's a slide that says our focus going forward. So you've no doubt heard a lot about the 3.5% rule, and many of us have been in training sessions where they've talked about the work that was done by Erica Chenoweth around how authoritarian regimes ultimately get toppled. And it's really it's informative and it's helpful, and it's also scary to think that that's where we are now, where we're discussing um, we're discussing how to topple authoritarians. Who would have thought that we would be here? But here is where we are. Um, so one of the things that we're doing within Indivisible Twin Cities is looking at other using that work and research. We're looking at other ways that we can organize our own work, which has historically been around legislative advocacy and around elections. And we're not doing those things anymore, but we're also seeing how serious things have become, and also the limitations of what our elected officials can do right now. Specifically Democrats in Congress who are, fighting when they can, but we also have Republicans in Congress who are not seemingly, actually, capitulating all over the place to Trump and his regime. So we're looking at other ways that we can organize our work, such as further building our community, because we know that regardless of what happens in the future, strong community is what is going to help us get through whatever we're up against. We're looking at organizing more structured campaigns around defending civil rights. This means things like working with organizations within the Twin Cities who are the on the ground groups defending immigrant communities or LGBT plus communities, trans rights, really just anything in the category of civil rights, which also includes voting rights and making sure that our elections are free and fair. Demanding that corporations not capitulate under this category are things like boycotts. So we support the Target boycott. We have started to build relationships with the people in Black Lives Matter and the Racial Justice Network, who are the founders of the Target boycott, and there are other ways that we can push back against corporations that are capitulating. We're just starting to explore. We're not quite sure where this next one would go, but faith communities have a lot of power, and many of us are members of faith communities, and we're just thinking kind of broadly right now about how we within Indivisible Twin Cities could pressure faith communities to speak up more against the harms that are being caused by this administration. And with that one, we may end up partnering with or supporting organizations in the Twin Cities like Faith in Minnesota, Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota. So this might be more of a supporting or an amplification kind of effort, but we're just starting with that one. And again, as always, and as I said before, traditionally we've been involved in election work. And right now, and that will continue, especially as we move into 2026. But what we're really focused on now and what we're really interested in is supporting those people running for office or who are currently in office who are actively loud and fighting against doing what they can and using the tools at their power to fight against the Trump regime and the harm that is being caused. And we've all seen where there are some who are fighting really hard and others who maybe seem to be
Stuck in the past.
stuck in the past. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So those are the things that we're working on. And then as we've already talked, we have working teams that are helping to make these things happen. Okay,
All
over
right.
to Lisa.
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on real quick right now. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to make you aware of it. We all know that Trump is threatening to send troops to various cities across the country and has already done so in several areas. And we all feel like it's only a matter of time before he decides that he's going to do the same thing in Minneapolis. He has a lot of reasons to not like Minneapolis and feel like, it's just this horrible hellhole, which makes us laugh every time we hear it. But anyway, so we are aware of several groups within the Twin Cities who are actively right this minute working on plans for response to that if and when it should happen. And in some of the cases, we're kind of at the table with those groups to talk about how this is going to be done and the various different methods for addressing it if and when it happens. So that work is happening as we speak. And they're doing it's several different ways of handling this situation. And we don't need to go into a ton of detail with it, but just know that it is happening. And in some cases, we're trying to stay as involved with that as we can, or at least aware of what they're doing. But one of the things that we're going to do from an Indivisible Twin Cities standpoint is we have a effort called Pledge of Resistance, and we're just still working on this. It's not totally completely rolled out yet, but in a nutshell, what this means is that we are asking people within our Indivisible Twin Cities network and beyond to basically sign a Pledge of Resistance. Now, that sounds a little bit more involved than it actually is. What it really is that we want to get people to commit to saying that if Trump sends troops into the Twin Cities, whether it's Minneapolis or St. Paul or some other area, that we will respond with people at a particular moment in time, at a particular site, to protest that as quickly as we can possibly do it. The only way we can do that is if we know who you are ahead of time and that you are willing to say, yes, I will be there. I will do whatever I can to try to take part in that activity. So we're calling it the Pledge of Resistance so that we can collect your contact information. We're being very careful about this. We are not, first of all, this information we collect from you you can be anonymous. You can give us an alias name if you'd like. We are going to need a phone number because we're going to reach out to you via text. That information we collect will not be used for any other purpose. It doesn't put you on our email list. It doesn't sign you up for events. You will get nothing else from us. You will get text messages from us saying, we're deploying all of us out in the street at this particular moment in time. That's it. But so in order for you to take part in that, we would ask you to basically sign the Pledge of Resistance. So that's why it's called that. Right now, you can do it at a link, which I think Sue's putting in the chat while we speak. You can click on the link and you can fill out this quick little tiny thing to tell us that you're interested. Soon, we're going to actually have you'll be able to reach us via text to also sign up and tell us that you're interested in taking part in it. So that's it in a nutshell. If you have any more questions about it, we can maybe put them in the Q&A and you can ask us later. But we just wanted to go through that real quick. Oh, here we are to join our work.
Yeah.
So if you want to join any of our work, whether it's, helping us with social media or joining the Pledge of Resistance or being on one of our rapid response team or whatever. We're always looking for good, talented people who can commit time to this. And I think that's one of the important things is this takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time. And we want people to have realistic expectations about that we need people who can dedicate a certain amount of time to doing some of this work. But anyway, you can send us an email at info@indivisible-twincities.org. Tell us a little bit about your skills, tell us about your interests, and where you think maybe you could plug in to help us, because we're always looking for good people.
Okay,
Oh boy. All
here
right.
we are.
We're going to talk about this. I haven't seen what the questions are in the Q&A yet, but I'm going to venture a guess that there's several that are asking about No Kings 2.0, and we're going to tell you as much as we can. And we also want to give you some background on this because we get so many questions about these great big mass mobilization events. And we like to share with you kind of how this works and how complicated it is so that you can set your expectations on what we're doing behind the scenes. So about what, anybody 3-4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, it seems like forever, we got a date thrown at us, October 18th. That's the next National Day of Mass Mobilization. We have no say-so in this. It's just sort of comes down from different organizations, Indivisible National, Move On, the Working People's Party, to name just a few that are working at a national level to have these big events one day so that we can make a huge impact all over the country at the exact same time. So that's what October 18th is. We immediately tried to get hold of the Capitol grounds because we all know that that really is the best place in the Twin Cities for a huge event, whether it's a march to there or a big rally on the property. It's ideal for that. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the Capitol. It was not for lack of trying. And so I want everybody here to know that we jumped through every hoop we could possibly jump through to try to get the Capitol for that day. We were not successful. So we had to start looking at other options. And one thing I will tell you is there's not a lot of places in the Twin Cities other than the Capitol where you can hold a big giant rally like this that is, tens of thousands of people all together at the same time. We looked at Harriet Island. We looked at stadiums and football stadiums and the state park fairgrounds and all kinds of different things. And for whatever reason, don't need to go into, things were already booked, or they weren't conducive to what we needed, or they were just simply not available to us. So then we started looking at some other options in downtown Minneapolis. That has also turned out to be quite challenging. For a lot of different reasons. That's a very popular day in downtown Minneapolis. There's several other events that are taking place. So we not originally, I think it might have been Plan B or C. We were like, hey, let's go to Gold Medal Park. That's not working out either. So you've probably heard rumors about that. The rumors are accurate that we're not going to be at Gold Medal Park. I wish I could tell you at this exact moment in time exactly where we're going to be in downtown Minneapolis, but I cannot. I can tell you this. We are having an event on October 18th in downtown Minneapolis. That's as good as I can get. So we want you to be there. We want you to plan to be there. We need as many people as possible to show up in downtown Minneapolis on that day, that afternoon. All the details will be shared soon. We hope early next week. That's our plan. We just got off a call right before we came in here for this call to discuss it a little bit further and see where we were. We're waiting on one approval, we think, and hopefully we'll get it. But we just need you to know, please, please, please plan on this. I know it can be frustrating to not have all the details and like, where am I going to park and which light rail station should I get off at? And, is there going to be porta potties and all that stuff? we need you to just say, yes, I can be there on the 18th and I will be there for whatever we have planned. I'm going to just touch on this real quick because I do want to get into the Q&A, but I just want everybody to understand that we've seen a real shift since No Kings in June, on June 14th, that very, very, very sad day. We've seen a shift in the attitudes of the powers that be in facilitating what is needed for us to have these big events. And we're not really sure what's causing that, other than I don't want, this is not a conspiracy theory to make people think that they don't want us to have these events, but they're certainly not being as helpful as we've seen in the past. And so we've been pushing and pushing and pushing every single avenue that we can push to make sure that we are holding these events and that we can get the big turnout that we want to have so that we can make a big statement to the people of Minnesota and the people of the United States and to Donald Trump and his regime that the people especially here in the Twin Cities, are not on board with this, and we're going to keep fighting it. And I just want you to know that as time goes on, these events are going to get harder to hold. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to make you feel good about it. That's just the reality. That's where we are right now. So be patient with us. Give us a little grace. We're doing every single thing we can possibly do within our coalition. And we have a great, great coalition between us, Women's March Minnesota, AFL-CIO, and the Minnesota 5051 group. It's amazing, really, how lucky we are to have this group of people that really are so dedicated and spend so many hours trying to plan these giant events. So keep it on your calendar. It's happening. We'll be in downtown Minneapolis, and we're going to give you all the details is the minute we can. So we're not trying to waste time here. We are all acting with urgency. So just so you know. I guess that's that. I guess I got that covered.
I think you did. Yeah. And what is really cool too is that we have a whole set of teaser events leading up to October 18th. And you can find and register, find more details and register for all of these at our on Mobilize at our Indivisible Twin Cities page. So there is a Bridge Brigade today at noon, another one tomorrow, and then a paint a banner party. So because we're going to be marching through downtown, there are going to be these really cool opportunities for us to be able to drop banners like from parking garages. So the team, including Jen, who's on, and others are organizing this party to paint these huge cloth banners. And then 2 more Bridge Brigades next weekend. All those are the teaser events. There may even be another Sips and Signs event coming up. Not sure about that yet. And then I think tickets are going to go pretty fast, but this time we're doing an after party on the afternoon of October 18th after our march downtown. It's being held at the Hook and Ladder, which is in Minneapolis, and they have generously offered their venue. It's going to be music and a festival, and called the Fall of Fascism Festival. So if you're interested in that, sign up right away because tickets will go fast for that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing.
Good.
Okay. And so hopefully, okay, good. Yeah. Jen just said Sips and Signs will be announced early next week. The painted banner is full, but there may be cancellations. So should people just keep an eye on the Mobilize event, Jen? Is that the best thing for them to do? You can take yourself off mute if you want.
Yeah, so the paint a banner is full, but I believe we had a cancellation yesterday. I haven't been able to check if it's been full again. Simpson Signs, we're going to be doing it at a brewery in hope, location to be determined hopefully today. So we'll have something ready to announce next early next week. It's going to be the week before the event, so watch for that big announcement. And um, also, one thing that hasn't been talked about, but is really, really crucial, is that these massive events are really expensive. So no matter how pared down we try to make it to, like marches, we usually have smaller setup. Capitol, we have a much bigger setup, but they are extremely expensive. And we are all volunteer run. And I have put a link into our Act Blue for this coalition effort. That money goes to pay for security equipment. It goes to pay for adequate sound systems. It goes to pay for signage, um, and all the incident porta potties. If we can, yeah. So it's everything that uh, most folks don't think about, but makes an event run smoothly. And like like so much money. Anyways, so any gift of any size, the ActBlue account is there. If we raise more than we need, that money stays in that account for our next event. And we know that this is going to be something that we're going to be doing for quite some time. So thank you so much. Please consider donating. And yes, please sign up for the Fall of Fascism Festival. Tickets are required, but they are free. But they're very, very limited. So it should be really fun. We're going to have live music. We're going to have games and fun events happening there. It's going to be the coolest thing.
Cool.
Thanks, Jen.
And before we get into the questions, I want to say one thing too, that and I should have done a call out when we were talking about what we've been up to. But these big events, which are nationwide, like Hands Off and then No Kings and another No Kings 2, are super important because we get national press coverage, hopefully, knock on wood, which is what we want. We make a big impact. But what has been so inspiring to me, and I know a lot of you have been involved in these smaller rallies and sidewalk protests and bridge brigades. They're happening every day of the week, practically, week after week after week. And so, if you're thinking about ways to show up or to get involved and to make your voice heard, those smaller sidewalk rallies, they really matter because what you are doing is showing your courage and you're showing it to all the people who are driving by or who are walking by. And you're helping to build your own little community in the process. So while we want you to come to these large events and we encourage it and we hope that you join us because it'll be fun, we also encourage you to find a neighborhood sidewalk protest or start your own even, if there's not one in your neighborhood.
Okay, we need
Okay.
to get to the questions and
Yes.
answers. We've gone
Yeah,
long.
she's pushing me.
I'm sitting over here going, stop talking.
Okay. Who's got the first question? Sue, are you gonna
Nope,
feed this to us?
Jen's gonna do them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, great. One of the ones that keeps coming up is talking about security, which we kind of touched on before. Um, but Lisa and Rebecca, do you want to talk about our awesome security team that's helping us out?
So security as it relates to like a big event like No Kings, correct?
Yes.
Right.
hmm
Yeah, we go back to our coalition. We have got just these rock star people on our team who really know how to do this. The AFL-CIO group has been handling major protests for decades, and they have lots of experience in how to organize it to be more secure and then how to organize it while it's going on, especially when there's marches and street closures and things like that. So we've got a great team. They really know their stuff. But one of the things that really, really helps with our events is having experienced marshals who know the drill. They've been trained and they know what their job is. And we are always looking for more people who can facilitate that. Our group, our coalition will train the marshals that need training. All the marshals have to go through some training just to kind of get them up to date on this particular event, especially because they have to know exactly what the route is and what streets are involved and things like that. But overall, we've got a great security team and they take this so seriously. And it's another reason a little bit for our secrecy when we do talk about where we're going to be. We do not disclose routes ahead of time because they won't let us. So there you go. Hopefully that helps put people a little bit more at ease.
I have we are also looking for volunteers to join us for our security team. That link is in the chat. We need several hundred people for that. So please join us. And then I'm also sharing a day of event volunteers. And that, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that while I put the link in the chat, Rebecca, about all the extra things that we need people to help with.
Yeah, when we have large events like this, we always have a need for volunteers, and they do a variety of things. It might be holding banners and signs. It might be signing in volunteers, or checking in volunteers. It might be cleaning up afterward because we kind of have a leave no trace philosophy. So whether it's at the Capitol or downtown Minneapolis, there are always roles available for general volunteers, not the marshals, but just doing a variety of things. So yeah.
And we've got a question from Michael about speakers. Will there be speakers on the 18th? If so, can they be advised to keep things brief and focus on the damage done by the person pretending to be the king and not spend time on the umbrella of Indivisible or the DFL? I know some of those around me at Hands Off seem to lose interest as group after group were recognized. So let's talk about our speakers.
Let's talk about that. So first of all, for this particular event, and we hear you, right? We hear you. This event is going to have a short program. We're going to try to keep it to about 30 minutes, but we also know that things always go long, as we're noticing right here on this. Things always go long, but we are really going to keep it to a very short list of speakers, maybe 6. And we'll also probably have 1 or 2 musical performers of some sort there too. So we hear you, we agree, because we really want this event especially to be more focused on the actual march. We think because we're going to be in Minneapolis, we need that the visual of massive amounts of people going through the street. So, and because it's hard to find a good spot in downtown Minneapolis where we can all gather together. So yes, there's a program. It will be short, we promise, and we're going to keep it as short as we possibly can.
I think that covers most of the questions about No Kings that were in the Q&A and covered by your presentation about the event. So let's move to the question that has the most upvotes, and it's from Terry Fishel. I am interested in bridging the rural-urban divide, and is there a group rural-urban divide initiative? Any plans for this group to engage in that type of outreach, especially for the election 2026? So Terry, I think you were part of our Books and More discussion of white rural rage last weekend. And we had Scott Ickes as our special speaker there. But Lisa and Rebecca, do you want to talk about how we partner with purple and redder districts during elections?
Yeah, I at this point there's not an initiative, a formal one yet, but I love the idea for bridging the rural urban divide in Minnesota. But I can tell you a little bit about how we within Indivisible Twin Cities operates, and even what we've been doing over the last several months, and that is through the help of Scott Ickes, who's the regional organizer for this area. He's employed by Indivisible. We are starting to really build connections. We're making it more of a concerted effort to get to know other leaders within Indivisible chapters around the state. And so, trying to find opportunities where we in urban areas can, especially bluer areas where we have a lot of districts that are reliably Democratic, and as we're looking at elections, can some of our volunteers, can some of you help with campaigning or door knocking or phone banking in greater Minnesota where there are districts that could be flipped from red to blue? And we have some people power that if we put it to use, we could really see a difference being made. And so, yeah, we're doing thinking along those lines. Doing something more formal on a statewide basis is something that we would love to see happen. Historically, though, Indivisible Twin Cities has adopted candidates in districts
Purple.
that are more purple, that are usually kind of adjacent to the Twin Cities, where it's not unrealistic to maybe drive a few miles to help door knock for a candidate who really needs to win. So, for example, in 2024, we did a lot of campaigning for Ann Johnson Stewart in the Minnetonka Delano area, and she ended up winning, and it was a really important race. Yeah, so if there's anything to add on that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add on that real quick is that one thing that we are building those relationships, and again, that has become a priority, especially for Rebecca and I as the leaders of ITC, to build relationships with other leaders around the state, and it's definitely paying off. Already we're seeing dividends to that. But we also want to take their lead. They know what they need in their communities, and we don't go up there, we don't call them up and say, hey, we think you should be doing XYZ. We don't approach it that way. We never will. We want them to tell us what they need. And if there's a need that we can help fulfill, we will do it. So it's their call on what help they may need, or where they need maybe volunteers or whatever it is. So we try not to I don't know. We just try to take their lead on those types of things. So
Yeah, and I think, sorry. I was just going to add one more thing, then I'll turn it over to you, Jen. You know, sometimes we hear people say, well, my elected officials are all Democrats, and so I'm not sure what I can really do. Well, first of all, not everybody who's a Democrat is necessarily doing all the things we need them to do. There's that. But more so, there are ways that you can help purplish or red districts, even from home. So whether it's phone banking or text banking or, postcards or, so that's never a reason to do nothing. Yeah, Jen.
Yeah, I just want to point out that our Voting a Democracy Action Team is in the works, scheduling a Door Knocking for Dems, ITC Door Knocking for Dems event the weekend before the special election that's happening, and that's up in SD 29. We do, like Rebecca and Lisa have mentioned before, we do communicate on which races are going to be most flippable, or we need to work to keep blue. So that's why we're helping SD 29, and we'll be posting that information in the next week or so as we finalize details for that. So get ready, bring your walking shoes, a water bottle, and get ready to drive a few miles for that. And then we also encourage getting involved with your local DFL precinct and showing up for those events. It's amazing what you'll learn about how we get the candidates that we get. And thank you for being involved with Indivisible, but also be involved with your local DFL chapters. And then if you want to help districts in beyond our blue area, a lot of us join groups in areas that are close by. So Indivisible North Metro is really, really active. They're doing a great job pushing back on Emmer, and we encourage you to start following groups in other areas across the state to see what they're up to and how you can help join their efforts as well. And be sure to join our Facebook private group if you're not there already. That's a place that everybody can list things from, if you're doing a corner bridge event or corner brigade of some sort, or about something that's happening, and you can post it there as well. We try to keep posts related to our immediate territory for ITC if possible. But that's how we coordinate.
And I just want to make one shout out, or maybe two. Um, there has been an explosion of Indivisible chapters forming around Greater Minnesota, or all over the state, all over the country, really. But I think they're up to about 75 Indivisible chapters in Minnesota right now. So if you have friends or family or acquaintances in Greater Minnesota, make sure that they go out to the Indivisible map and see if there's a group near them. I have family who live in deep red Malacca, Minnesota, and my two sisters-in-law formed an Indivisible group, and they invited me to attend their group last week, and it was amazing. So there is stuff happening in Greater Minnesota, and we really need to encourage it. And tell you what, it takes a bit of courage to stand on a sidewalk if you're in a deep red area, and that we need to support those people, even just by cheering them on. Second thing I want to say is, since it came up, Indivisible is not an arm, a wing of the Democratic Party, as Leah and Ezra are fond of saying. But the DFL is doing really good work here in Minnesota. They have a new, the head of the DFL is Richard Carlbaum, and they are doing listening sessions all around the state. They did one in little old Malacca, Minnesota, also a couple weeks ago. And that's just that we should be following the DFL too, and encouraging them for the work that they're doing, because I think that they're back to the question of the rural urban divide. I think they're really trying to listen to people in rural Minnesota to hear what their concerns are. And I applaud them for doing that, because that hasn't happened much lately.
Mhm. Okay, what's our next question?
Okay.
Jen,
Okay,
you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I said something really poignant. Let's see, from Randy Bloom, I'm very concerned about the Kavanaugh raids and the judgment allowing them. What can we do? I'm assuming these are the ICE raids. Or do you guys, I'm not familiar with the Kavanaugh terminology around this, but
I'm not either.
that got 16 votes. Randy, can you put something in the chat about that? And we'll go on to the next question. Can you define what you mean by Kavanaugh raids a little more? The next one up is, do we want to create a single or a signal signal group for the rapid response teams, which is probably going to happen? Do you guys want to talk more about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this answer is multi-layered, but we want, first of all, within ITC to form a rapid response team. So if you are interested in leading and or being a member of that, please send an email to info@indivisibletwincities.org. So what that rapid response team is going to do is jump into action if there is something that happens that requires an immediate response. So, for example, we did something along those lines when Kilmar Abrego Garcia was sent to the prison in El Salvador. We held a rally outside of the consulate in St. Paul, the El Salvador consulate. We just want to have an organized way to jump into action when the situation requires it. And then as to the signal chat, if, once we form that team, yes, having a signal chat would be the best way for people to communicate with one another. I think that answers the question, right?
Yeah, we use Signal a lot for our
Yeah.
organizing. So folks, if you're
Yep.
not using Signal yet, please get it on your phones.
Yep.
So
And we've got some definitions around the Kavanaugh thing.
Okay.
And it's the decision that that
they can
probably
target
ICE
people of
ICE
color.
can do. Yeah, people of color.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about our work with the Immigrant Defense Network and how we partner with groups like that?
Yeah. Yeah. When we formed these action teams earlier this year, which we originally called watch teams, because we just wanted teams to kind of pay attention to a specific issue, the immigration action, which now are called action teams, the immigration team is the first one that really got off the ground because of the obvious. But what we want these teams to do generally is to build connections to kind of the boots on the ground organizations. And that is what our immigration action team has done. They are part of the Immigration Defense Network, which is in itself a coalition of groups that are allies to immigrants, supporting immigrants in their needs. And I would suggest in specific answer to Randy's question that everybody who can should attend the training that is being done by I think MIRAC and if Jeremy or Patrice is on the call, they can jump in. They do regular trainings on immigration, basically immigration defense and rapid response to ICE raids. And they are building a network of people who are willing to and able to jump into action when there is an ICE raid that's been deported. I can't think of a better way to address the situation that's happening right now than that. And I don't know if you have anything to
No,
add.
I think you got it. You and Jen got that one covered.
Okay.
Why don't we, we're running a little over, but maybe we could do one or two more if we've got them.
There's one more that's gotten a ton. Would you consider adding veterans to our forward focus? They are total against using military in our cities and are well connected to active duty military. This is from Ken. And do you want to talk about the group that came to our Good Trouble event and how we try to partner with them on things?
I can't remember the name of the group though.
It's about face.
Oh, about
Yeah,
face.
and we've gotten into we've had a couple of events. When I mentioned before the Defend America's Essentials series, one of them was at the VA office in St. Paul, and we had speakers there from I think Veterans for Peace and About Face, which is a veterans group that is against military actions that are happening around the world. So we have kind of built connections with those groups and maybe repeat the specific question. I'm not sure I answered it. Sorry, Jen.
Just it was more about partnering with veterans groups who, gosh, I really hope they are against what's happening. But
yeah, and
I think you've answered it, but go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on, if the person who asked the question has more specific examples, and maybe this is just a more general comment, that if any of you have ideas for things that we should do, events that we should hold, activities, campaigns, projects, call them what you will, we'd love to hear them. Yeah, so if there are specific things that we can do to help the veterans community or work with them, we'd like to hear those ideas for sure.
I am just putting all the No Kings links back into the chat because one last time, but I think, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, mostly just thank you. It makes, I think a few people have written in here in the chat about, feeling positive and feeling good about. I think a lot of times what we all need is to know that we're not alone, and there's a lot of people out there that feel just as panicked as we do. So I appreciate you guys again taking the time to listen to all that we had to share with you today. But I really wanted to hear your questions and see what was on your mind, and so that's been super helpful. And like I said, never hesitate to reach out to us. I think there was a slide with our email addresses on it, but Jen, if you want to share both mine and Rebecca's email addresses, we're perfectly fine with you sending us a note and talking to us, giving us feedback, whatever, we can take it, and or your ideas. So we don't mind getting those at all.
And you know
It's
what?
just Lisa, right? It's just first names, right?
Yeah, it's just first names. Yeah.
Lisa at and Rebecca at. And I forgot, we have one more question.
Oh, you
If we
did.
have time, can you put it up, Sue? It's the one about future.
We do. We had one more poll. We forgot about it.
And while she's doing that, I'll just like we said at the beginning, we've been busy. We haven't had these all member meetings, so we decided to pull this one together. The question is basically,
Rebecca, I'm not seeing that question.
oh darn, I wonder if I didn't save it. Okay, never.
Well, basically, the question is pretty simple. It was, if we were to hold these all member meetings like this on a monthly basis, would you be interested in that? Do you prefer Zoom, in person, don't care, that kind of thing? So that was really the question that we had on our minds. We would like to be able to do this on a monthly basis. We don't have to repeat ourselves each time. We can come to it with new important information. So, and we also think doing something in person would be kind of fun as well. Maybe we wouldn't do that every month, but maybe once in a while we could, meet in a park and have a potluck or what have you. So if that's something people would be interested in, we certainly can look at it.
Okay,
overwhelming yeses in the chat.
Yeah, so that's good.
Okay,
Monthly.
Great. That's what we wanted to know.
Monthly, over Zoom. So look for one around November 4th, we'll say.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Isn't that election day?
Oh yeah. Okay. Not
that day.
Not that day.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Really fun. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank
Sign
you.
up for the Mobilize event for No Kings Twin Cities. It's the best way to get updates on event locations directly into your inbox or your phone. We know people have hesitancy around that, but please do. It's really effective. If there are changes, we will also be posting on social media. We'll be putting it into our emails. And on our event website, the links are in the chat. Sign up, tell your friends, bring them, make a date, bring everybody you know downtown Minneapolis.
We need you there. We
really need you there.
We do need you there. We can't stress that enough. Okay.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Sue and Jen, for your help.
Yeah, thanks, Sue and Jen.